Chapter 55:35. Because the rules of the world were different, her previous method didn't work at all. However, after traveling through so many worlds, although the rules of the world were different, she could still change her cultivation method according to the rules of the world. This world was not working at all. It was very strange. Or perhaps this world was more advanced. But she didn't think so. There was no ordinary world in a high-level world. She was more inclined to think that this was a world controlled by someone, or rather, a world suppressed by some force. Songwon watched as Tanghua copied all his moves and was indeed very surprised. This different person was so smart. No wonder she was different. He didn't know if she could help break this place by increasing her strength. "I'll teach you internal strength cultivation methods," Songwon said. He had completely forgotten that Tang Anshan and Tang Ying were standing beside him. Tang Anshan had his own things to do. If he practiced martial arts, he would probably just casually learn it. He happened to be busy today. Tang Anshan wasn't in a hurry. He wasn't very interested in this. Tang Ying wasn't in a hurry either. Second sister would try first. She could do it last. Moreover, second sister was most interested in this. Therefore, they waited patiently at the side. But this time, Songwon thought of the two of them and even took out 3 internal strength cultivation methods, saying that they were specially customized for them. Think about it yourselves first and memorize the contents. If you don't understand, come and ask me. Tanghua held the Nigong Heart Sutra and memorized it almost immediately after reading it. Then, she began to cultivate. It still doesn't work. Tanghua frowned. When she opened her eyes and observed Tang Anshan and Tang Ying, she found that the two of them had started cultivating the internal strength cultivation method while standing. Songwon's expression was indifferent, as if he wasn't surprised at all. But when he turned around to look at Tanghua, he was stunned again. He walked quickly to Tanghua and reached out to press on Tanghua's shoulder. He was puzzled. "You can't cultivate?" "Yes, there's no movement." "Maybe it's not suitable," Tanghua said. "My third brother and little sister seem to be doing well." Songwon nodded. "Yes, they are martial arts geniuses. They have reached the 2nd level." Tanghua thought to herself, he must be joking with her. When she was a good-for-nothing, she could create her own cultivation method. But now, she can't cultivate at all. Even changing her cultivation method is useless. It was too ridiculous. "Maybe this book is not suitable for you. I'll find a few more for you." After a while, Songwon once again took out a few books of Nigong cultivation methods. Tanghua couldn't help but look into his arms. His body was clearly thin and weak, and it didn't look like he had a pile of internal strength cultivation methods. Yet, he took out so many. Could it be that he had a mess in space? She didn't have the intention to explore. She held the inner force cultivation methods and tried them one by one. The 2nd book? No. The 3rd book was still no good. The 4th book, the 10th book, none of them worked. "I may be a martial arts waste." Tanghua looked at Songwon, showing a speechless expression. Or the kind of powerless waste. She understood that this world was targeting her. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many coincidences. "Young Master Song, why don't you teach me some powerful moves?" She found that these moves could still be used. Songwon, "Okay." He hesitated for a moment. "Do you want me to check for you?" "How? Take my pulse?" "Something like that." "You may touch your head," Songwon said. Tanghua agreed. Then she felt a hand on her head. When Songwon let go, she met his eyes and found that he was a little excited. Chapter 55:36. "What's the matter?" Tanghua asked. Songwon said subconsciously, "You really don't have a code." Tanghua? What did he mean by she really didn't have a code? Wait, she looked around again, and her expression changed slightly. Was this not the real world, but a virtual world? If it was really a virtual world, she should have discovered it long ago, right? However, her strength was suppressed here, and the system was also restricted, so the person who controlled this virtual world might be a cultivator. Then, it made sense that this world was a virtual world. Moreover, this world had been circulating for so long, so it might have become a semi-virtual world, which would make it even harder to distinguish. "You should know something." Songwon looked at Tanghua's expression, and his expression became serious. "Wait a minute. I'll write a code to form a hidden space so that no one can peek. Tangwa pursed her lips. Write a code? Did this guy rely on coding to win against others? So, the move she practiced just now, as well as the internal strength cultivation method she gave her third brother and little sister, were all code? She was a person, so she couldn't practice this. And her third brother and little sister were made of code, so they could practice it? Tangwa, who had figured it out, became even more interested in all of this. Who on earth was it that wanted to deliberately come up with such a way to harm her? After a while, she saw that the place where she and Songwon were standing was covered by a transparent cover. The cover flashed twice and disappeared, as if it was hidden. You're also from the outside? But I feel that you're a little different. I've forgotten a lot of things. Tangwa went with the flow and said, I have my own identity here. You know this because I suddenly realized that I'm a little different from others some time ago. Then you know the code, right? I know. Is this a game world or some other world? Tangwa asked. Songwon shook his head. Actually, I don't know if this is a game or not, but in my impression, there shouldn't be such a game. Maybe it's a new game in development. Anyway, this is not the real world. I've thought of many ways, but I can't get out. Do you have any ideas? Tangwa asked again. Only by going out could she attract that person's attention. Songwon frowned. I've been here for some time. I only came to this county recently. I found that the closer I got to this place, the more realistic the scenery became. Even the modeling of the passerby was done exceptionally well. I thought I might find the answer here, so I came. Before this, I cracked a few of them. But for some reason, I still can't get out. I clearly know that I can get out if I break through that layer, but that layer of firewall is especially strong. Maybe my skills aren't enough. Indeed, he had suffered a great blow in this matter. Tangwa sighed. What firewall? It was clearly the suppression of cultivators. Of course a programmer wouldn't be able to break through it. That shouldn't be a firewall, Tangwa said. It's another kind of power. This power suppresses the soul. Songwon suddenly understood. No wonder. After all, I'm already dead. Did you die outside? Suddenly? Tangwa guessed the reason at once and showed some pity in her eyes. Songwon nodded. Yeah, I was used to being busy until 4 or 5 in the morning. It was like this for a long time. Suddenly, I was gone. When I woke up again, I was in the virtual world. You're also unlucky, Tangwa added. Not as unlucky as me. I've lived here for many years. Every time I die, I experience the same thing. What do you mean? Chapter 55:37. Tangwa told him all the experiences of the original owner and then said, I just woke up a little and found that this is a virtual world. If I continue, I will definitely go crazy. You are really unluckier than me. You can still persevere like this. Songwon fell into deep thought. Your experience is different from mine. I should have entered the virtual world by accident. You are not like that. You have been given an identity and have to experience the destruction of your family repeatedly. It is not simple. No matter what choice you make in the end, the family will be destroyed. Songwon murmured, I can help you in this regard. As long as I rewrite their code and destroy the structure of the virtual world, I can even hide them all. But you said that there is a very powerful force outside the firewall. I can't do anything about it. Moreover, I can't guarantee that after rewriting the code and destroying the virtual world, there won't be a very powerful person who will appear and discover us. This was what Songwon was worried about now. Since Tangwa could know what the power outside was that restricted them but did not belong to the firewall, then she was definitely not simple. My power is being suppressed. Maybe there's something very magical. Tangwa said without hiding anything. I guessed before that the other party might want to use the destruction of my family to stimulate my resentment. I am also a spirit body. As for why I am a spirit body, I haven't figured it out yet. Some of my memories have not been fully restored. But I know that once the spirit body has too much resentment, the spirit body will become a ghost king full of evil spirit. At that time, the power will leak out and be very powerful. I will even lose my mind. Since this was a virtual world, it was much easier for Tangwa to speculate about these things. Other than this reason, she could not think of any other reason to trap her here. What do you want to do? I can solve the problem in the virtual world, but I can't do anything about the power outside. Since the other party wants my resentment to explode, then I want to try and see what will happen. My power is restricted, and there is no way to break the barrier outside. This is the only way. What I need your help with is that when the time comes, you must hide the family in this virtual world. I hope they can continue to exist. Since the original owner was so stubborn, it should have been the right choice to preserve them. That's not a problem for me. As long as I can get in touch with them, I can help them rewrite the code. Actually, I slowly figured out this function. At first, I thought it was very magical. Maybe it's because people have this special ability after they die. Songwon hesitated. It's just that the resentment is on your body. Will you be unable to control it and really lose your consciousness? I can control it. All right. Songwon chose to believe that this was the only way to get out. He was really annoyed to stay in this virtual world without internet. If it was a virtual world that could connect to the internet, he wouldn't feel bored and wouldn't mind staying there. After reaching an agreement with Songwon, Tangwa watched some old videos in the system space with a peace of mind. She was cultivating her internal energy, so basically no one disturbed her. In her spare time, she would ask Songwon, "You fought so easily before because you wrote a program for yourself? Aren't spirit bodies unable to use these? I can't use it myself." Chapter 55:38. However, the clothes and shoes on my body can all be written. It won't be a problem to add some attributes to them. Therefore, in front of these NPCs, I'm invincible. Look, there's also this watch. It looks ordinary, but in fact it has a very strong power. Every time it attacks someone, it will trigger the power. Not many NPCs can withstand it. Songwon extended his wrist and showed it to Tangwa. An ordinary watch appeared in front of her. If you need something to defend yourself, I can write it for you. Songwon had specially prepared a very small hidden space for Tangwa to let her activate her resentment inside. In fact, Songwon had recently observed them. He told Tangwa that they should not be monitored. Recently, he had gradually taken control of the entire virtual world and did not notice anyone spying on them. Tangwa was not surprised by this result. The other party probably did not expect an accident. They might have observed her a few times before letting her do whatever she wanted. Time passed day by day. Under Songwon's observation, the resentment on Tangwa's body grew more and more. He could feel the ruthlessness and baleful aura on her body. Just a glance at it would make people feel frightened. He didn't know how Tangwa stimulated her resentment, but he was vaguely worried. He guessed that Tangwa might be recalling her previous experiences. Logically speaking, she already knew that this was a virtual world. Even if she recalled her previous experiences, the resentment should not be so strong, right? Of course, he did not understand this and could only watch from the side. As for the family Tang people, Songwon was more observant. He contacted them through various excuses and helped them rewrite the code. He did not rewrite the code of the entire virtual world because he was afraid that the person behind it would discover it in advance. He only strengthened the family Tang people and added a memory storage device. If anything happened to them, the memories in the memory storage device would be released when they were resurrected again. The family Tang people were designed to look too much like real people. He could not bear to destroy such a work of art. In the blink of an eye, a few months had passed. It was time for the Emperor's people to find Lin Xiaoya. Tangwa did not stop the incident from happening. She had accumulated enough resentment, and her soul power was about to make a breakthrough. She was prepared to unleash all her resentment when the Tang family was in trouble and break through the power that bound her soul in one fell swoop. She wanted to see who was playing with people like this. On this day, Lin Xiaoya was taken away by a group of people. The group of people who came looked very noble, and they were even more respectful to Lin Xiaoya. Everyone in the family could tell that Lin Xiaoya's identity was not ordinary. Perhaps because of the appearance of Tangwa, Lin Xiaoya's life in the family Tang group was not bad this time. The work was easier, and she did not suffer much. The only thing she was dissatisfied with was that she still hated Tangwa very much. Perhaps this was the setting in the program that forced her to hate Tangwa. This time, on the way out, she did not think of doing anything to the Tang family. However, she still liked Tang Anshan and planned to go back and talk to the emperor about it. In addition, she also wanted to build a princess residence next to the family Tang group. This matter had to be handled by the family Tang group. She was a princess. In the future, except for Tang Anshan, the people in the family Tang group would have to pay respects to her every day. Lin Xiaoye rushed to the capital with this thought in mind. It was not a simple matter for her to be trapped outside. It was all her sister's doing. She wanted her life before. Chapter 55-39. Although her father had already punished her second sister and grounded her, and her mother had also been banished to the cold palace because of her mistake, she still didn't care about it. When she went back, she had to find a way to deal with her second sister first. The family Tang was there. They couldn't run away, so she wasn't in a hurry. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. After Lin Xiaoye left, the whole family gathered together. Master Tang looked worried. The person who took Lin Xiaoye away is not simple. She has a Beijing accent. I don't know which rich family's daughter she is. When she was in the house, we didn't mistreat her. She should be fine, right? Mrs. Tang said. Our family Tang has never mistreated the servants, but it's better not to make this matter public. Rich families all care about their reputation. Just treat it as a secret. She looked at Tanghua and her siblings. You have to remember that Lin Xiaoye has never appeared in the family Tang. Yes, mother, the four siblings answered in unison. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. Lin Xiaoye brought people to the Lin family with the imperial edict given to her by the current emperor. She publicly announced that Tang Anshan would be her son-in-law. Tang Anshan's expression changed immediately. He immediately stood up. Princess, please take back your order. I already have a fiancé. I can't be your son-in-law. I'm not worthy of you. I don't have the fortune. Whether you have the fortune or not, that's up to me, Lin Xiaoye said indifferently. You're just my fiancé. You're not married yet. Just cancel the marriage. This time, Lin Xiaoye seemed to be much stronger. Song Wen's explanation was that the key characters in the virtual world should be set up with many plot points. When they touched a point, the corresponding plot would automatically be shown. He also told Tanghua that Tang Anshan was also a key character in the family Tang. He must have a fiancé who he loved deeply in his setting. No matter who liked him, he would resist. Of course, he couldn't resist in the end. And this Lin Xiaoye was simply the most perfect NPC in the entire virtual world. All the key plots were triggered from her. The person who designed this virtual world must have spent a lot of effort. Princess, please take back your order. I'm not worthy of you. I only want to be with my fiancé in this life. We're getting married next month. Tang Anshan was very persistent. He didn't have the slightest intention of backing down. This was his setting. Although the family Tang people were a little worried, they didn't stop Tang Anshan. They couldn't force Tang Anshan to agree to become Lin Xiaoye's son-in-law. Of course, this was something the Tang family had set up. They would never force their family members to do something they didn't like. However, the entire world was virtual, and the plot could be changed at will, so no matter how hard she tried, it was useless. Once she did something out of the plot, someone would fill in the blanks. She was working so hard, but in fact, she was slowly blocking her way out. According to Tanghua's idea, every time the original owner was resurrected, her resentment would multiply. It was a very scary setting. I'll give you time to think about it. Lin Xiaoye wasn't angry. She had enough patience for Tang Anshan. Before entering the family Tang, she had seen Tang Anshan once. That time, in the carriage. The curtain of the carriage inadvertently fluttered. She saw that good-looking face and could never forget it. Chapter 55-40. Unfortunately, Tang Anshan didn't notice her at that time. If he did, she believed that he would definitely save her. When she escaped from Spring Cloud Brothel that day, there were so many people on the street. Why did she choose to hide behind Tanghua? That was because on the day she saw Tang Anshan, she also saw Tanghua standing beside him. Later, when she found out about Tang Anshan's identity, she realized that the people from Spring Cloud Brothel seemed to be more polite to the local family Tang. She was lucky to escape that day. If Tanghua chose to save her, not only would she be able to escape, but she would also be able to get close to Tang Anshan. After entering the family Tang, Tang Anshan was as gentle and elegant as ever. Even if she was a servant who accidentally bumped into him, she wasn't punished. This was different from her previous experience. At that time, she thought that when she regained her identity, she would definitely make this man her son-in-law. She didn't expect this day to come so soon. I'll come back in 3 days. Tangwa knew that Lin Xiaoye was preparing to kill Tang Anshan's fiancé's family. She didn't stop her, but she had already asked Song Wen to save the data. That day, the family Tang people were uneasy and didn't know what to do. The other party was a high and mighty princess. How could they, as commoners, resist? Father, mother, I've implicated you. But I really don't want to be the son-in-law. I've already sworn to Yun-er that she'll be the only one in this life. I must grow old with her. Eldest son, mother doesn't blame you. This princess is not easy to get along with. Mother knows that you like Yun-er. Mother also likes Yun-er. Old Master Tang was silent. He didn't know what to do either. The next day, before the family Tang people could think of a solution, they received news that the entire Zhang family had been killed in the night. The family Tang people were terrified and their faces were pale. Yun-er, Tang Anshan screamed and rushed out. Tangwa and Tang Anshan hurriedly chased after him. Tang Ying was frightened and hid in Mrs. Tang's arms, trembling. The Zhang family's gate was covered in blood. Tang Anshan ran in like a madman, frantically looking for Zhang Ziyun's body. The Yamen runner couldn't bear to see him behaving so crazily, so he brought him to Zhang Ziyun's corpse. Lifting the white cloth, Tang Anshan burst into tears the moment he saw Zhang Ziyun. Yun-er, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I should have promised her. If I had, everything would have been fine. Tangwa went to take a look at the dead Zhang Ziyun and found that Zhang Ziyun's death was very miserable. Her face was full of knife wounds, and there was no intact skin at all. Lin Xiaoye's character design was probably the most ruthless she had ever seen. As long as things didn't go according to plan, they would die, and in a miserable way. Young Master Tang, have you considered the matter I mentioned before? Lin Xiaoye's voice rang out, and everyone turned around. She smiled at Tang Anshan. I wanted to ask you in 2 days, but something seemed to have happened, so I came to ask you in advance. After all, accidents like this happen every day. Who knows what will happen in the future? Don't you think so? These words were really a threat. Tang Anshan's eyes turned red. Why were you so ruthless? Yun-er is innocent. Even if you used her to threaten me, why did you kill her? I was afraid that Zhang Ziyun's existence would distract young Master Tang. Lin Xiaoye smiled and squatted down. I'm a princess after all. I don't want my husband to have someone else in his heart. I'll chop you to death. Chop you to death. I'll chop you to death. As her sword fell and she shouted, the grievous energy on her body began to multiply. The people around her could not stand still. They cried out and ran out. Lin Xiaoye had been chopped into pieces, and Tangwa finally stopped. Tang Anshan and Tang Anshan were standing beside her, their eyes filled with worry, because she looked very scary right now, like a demon. System, don't be afraid. It's all special effects. Tangwa's eyes fell on Song Wen's body. Her subtle expression finally made Song Wen's heart feel relieved. Second sister. Second sister. Tang Anshan and Tang Anshan were only stunned for a moment. They quickly ran to Tangwa and hugged her. Second sister, she's already dead. Tang Anshan wiped her tears. Let's go back and pack up. Let's escape. Chapter 55-42. Second sister, are you okay? Tangwa's murderous look really scared Tang Anshan. For a moment, he forgot the pain of losing his beloved. Tangwa raised her head and looked at the two brothers. The red light in her eyes gradually dissipated. Second sister, are you okay? Tang Anshan asked worriedly. Second sister was so scary just now. When did second sister become so powerful? He couldn't help but glance at the pile of rotten flesh. Second sister was usually the most soft-hearted. When she cut Lin Xiaoye just now, she was ruthless. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have found it hard to believe that it was true. Of course, he didn't blame or have a bad feeling about it. He just associated what happened today with second sister's unhappy matter. Just now, second sister shouted resentfully to kill Lin Xiaoye, as if she had a great hatred. Let's go. We can't delay any longer. Tang Anshan took a deep breath. I've already lost Yuner. I can't lose other family members. He helped Tang Gui up and looked back at Zhang Ziyun. Yuner, I'm sorry. I'll definitely come back to apologize to you in the future. Tang Anshan and Tang Anshan helped Tang Gui up and quickly ran to the family Tang. When the family Tang people saw the siblings covered in blood, they knew that something was wrong. The one who explained this matter was Tang Anshan. He was the calmest and used the simplest words to explain what happened. Old Master Tang said, let's go, let's go. Dismiss all the servants. The family Tang people were busy. In less than half an hour, the whole family ran away. During this time, there were already bailiffs who came to arrest Tanghua and the other two, but they were stopped by Songwon at the door. At this time, Songwon also fled with the family Tang people. As for the servants of the Tang family, they were all dismissed. They fled to a remote place. Except for the banknotes, they almost didn't bring anything. They even disguised themselves, but a day later, the emperor's people still chased after them. When the family Tang people fell into despair, Tang's murderous and resentful aura floated around her body. It was so shocking that everyone couldn't bear it. Guo, are you all right? Mrs. Tang was very worried. The Tang family members didn't discuss the matter of Tanghua going crazy before. After all, it was time to run for their lives. Moreover, Tanghua was quite quiet. They planned to ask her what was going on after they settled down. Seeing Tanghua acting like that again, no one knew what to do. Tanghua looked at the pursuers who were blocking family Tang's way. Her tone was filled with anger and despair. We can't escape. We've already tried, but we can't escape at all. No matter where we go, we can't escape. Even if we manage to escape from these pursuers, family Tang's final outcome will still be the same. Not a single person can survive unscathed. The Tang family members looked at Tang's desperate and helpless expression. They could only feel her pain, but they did not know what she meant. Second sister, you were unhappy some time ago. Did you know something? Is it related to this matter? Tang Anshan, who was the smartest, asked the key question, which immediately cleared the minds of the family Tang people. Yes, I know. Tanghua held the sword and looked at the pursuers warily. Not only do I know, but I've also experienced this countless times. But no matter how hard I try, I can't let you live well. I don't understand why God is so cruel to let me go back to the beginning and make me experience the pain of losing you over and over again. Chapter 55-43. Every time, I'm the last one to survive. Before that, it's useless even if I kill myself. Your life and my life are not in my control. Almost every time Tanghua said a word, the resentment on her body would double. She looked very scary, as if she would go crazy at any time, lose her mind, and become a murderous demon. Family Tang, you have nowhere to run. Come back with us to be interrogated. You murdered the little princess, and your crimes are unforgivable. Come back with us obediently now, and I can put in a good word for you in front of His Majesty. If you don't listen, I'll kill you all today. The wind started to blow. Tanghua held the sword and no longer looked at the family Tang people. Instead, she looked at the officers and soldiers behind her. There were countless people as far as the eye could see. If you want to hurt my family, you'll have to see if I allow it. Tanghua held the sword and rushed to the position of the officers and soldiers. She cut down everyone she saw, almost one person with each strike. After a while, blood splattered all over the ground. Everywhere he looked was a sea of red. The family Tang people wanted to join in, but when they wanted to move, they found that they couldn't move at all. They felt very sad and could only watch without blinking as Tanghua rushed into the crowd and kept killing. They couldn't move, of course, because Songwon did it. He and Tanghua had already arranged things. She would kill those people and pretend that she couldn't control her resentment. As for him, he would stay in place to guard the family Tang people in case anything happened to them. When the time came, they would have to recover their data. Those people were really weak, and in a short while, more than half of them were killed by Tanghua. Perhaps the strength she showed was too strong, but the number of officers and soldiers did not decrease. Instead, it was increasing. In the real world, there was a room in a luxurious high-rise building. It was filled with the best computers. Sitting in front of each computer was a man in a checkered shirt. He looked a little sloppy, and his face was oily. Since 12 o'clock in the evening, the boss had called them back to work overtime. It was now 4 o'clock in the morning. They didn't understand why the boss asked them to keep adding officers and soldiers. Moreover, the amazing character in the movie, Tangwa, wasn't designed by them. It was designed by their boss himself. Their boss paid them a high salary, and they were used to working overtime, so they didn't complain much. They suspected that the boss wanted them to play games with him. Otherwise, why would he let them bring these soldiers in? Moreover, the soldiers' attributes were getting stronger and stronger according to the boss's requirements. Continue. Add as many soldiers as you can. Every 10 minutes, increase the soldier's strength by 5%. Qinghao stood in front of the computer. Unlike his usual indifference, his eyes were full of excitement. He held the mouse tightly. He originally thought that it would take at least 3 more years for Tangwa's resentment to accumulate. He did not expect that the other party would give him a surprise and actually erupt in advance. Regardless of whether he could succeed this time, the other party's resentment had obviously increased. If he did not make good use of this opportunity, would he still be Qinghao? He had painstakingly cultivated the spirit body for so many years. Once the resentment accumulated, it would be able to destroy the power outside. Then, it would be very easy to get her to cooperate with him to open the door to the spirit world. Did Xing Chun think that he wouldn't be able to do anything if the door to the spirit world was closed? Xing Chun left his most beloved woman in the spirit world. He would definitely get her back. The Ghost King, Tangwa, was the gift he had prepared for Xing Chun. Chapter 55-44. Based on her current situation, once she accumulated enough resentment, he would give her a cultivation method to go to the spiritual realm. She would be able to absorb the energy of the spiritual realm like crazy. At that time, Xing Chun would definitely go back to stop her, and he would be able to leave the spiritual realm with Shang Shui and live a loving life. He had waited too long for this day. He wondered how Shang Shui was doing. Was she scared when Xing Chun took her to the spiritual realm? She must be waiting for him too. Feeling that Tangwa's resentment was increasing, Qinghao revealed a comfortable smile. Even if he couldn't finish it in a few days, the time would be greatly shortened. In less than 3 months, he would be able to go to the spiritual realm. As for the situation of the family, he didn't care at all, so he didn't notice anything unusual there. He also didn't notice that Songwon was a spirit that wasn't data at all. Now, he was only urging the company's employees to quickly increase the number of soldiers. In the virtual world, Tangwa had been killing soldiers. She didn't know how long she had been killing, but her resentment had reached its peak. Only 2 days had passed outside, but more than 20 days had passed inside. At this time, Tangwa waved her sword and killed all the soldiers in front of her. The ground was covered in broken limbs and fresh blood. It made one's scalp tingle. But to the programmers outside, this was all fake. They were surprised that Tangwa's power had become so strong. No need to continue, Qinghao said. You can all get off work. You'll be working overtime for the next few days, and your salary will be 10 times higher. At the end of the month, everyone's bonus will be increased by 50,000. When the workers heard this, they were very happy. Even though they hadn't slept for more than 2 days, they could lie down and fall asleep immediately. These 2 days of work were really worth it. When everyone left the building, Qinghao also left. The moment he walked out of the building, he suddenly changed his face. His original face looked more sinister. At first glance, he was the kind of person who wasn't to be trifled with. It was written all over his body that people shouldn't mess with him. But now, his face looked like a spring breeze, like a gentle young master. One could tell from his eyes that he was a very gentle person. The original black suit became a white suit. Qinghao had a smile on his face. He turned back and looked at the building. He didn't go far. Instead, he went to a nearby coffee shop. After all, he would be back in a while. He first went to the washroom of the coffee shop and looked at himself in the mirror. He felt a little nostalgic and a smile appeared on his lips. He was truly disgusted by the fact that he had to face everyone under the guise of Xing Chun for so many years. However, he had to wait until the Ghost King was born before he could open the gate to the spirit realm and cause trouble for Xing Chun, who asked Xing Qiu to forcefully snatch away his beloved. He was so despicable because the other party had forced him to do so. Walking out of Western Zhou, Qing Hao chose a seat by the window and sat down, savoring the taste of the black coffee. He looked at the building across the street from time to time, but the people in the cafe were looking at him. After all, his entire body was filled with gentleness, and it was hard not to notice it. However, he was so gentle and noble that those who wanted to get close to him would feel inferior for no reason. Therefore, even though countless people were reluctant to look away from him, they did not dare to talk to him. An hour later, the entire coffee shop seemed to shake. From the position of the building, a gust of wind hit. The temperature, which was originally more than 20 degrees, suddenly dropped to the freezing point, causing everyone to shiver. Chapter 55-45. What's going on? It's really strange. It's so cold. Why is it so cold? What happened just now? The weather forecast didn't say there would be a cold air attack today. It's a little abnormal. It suddenly turned cold without any warning. Many people were jogging on the street. Because of the sudden drop in temperature, it was really too cold. Not many people could withstand it. At the same time, the weather station also made an emergency broadcast, saying that they were investigating the cause of the sudden cold air attack. The closer they were to the building, the colder the temperature was. Even the places with water had frozen. No one noticed that Qing Hao had disappeared from his original position and was walking towards the building. Tanghua had already come out of the virtual world. Songwen also came out with her. She didn't know the situation of the enemy. Songwen's spiritual body wasn't cultivated, so she let Songwen hide in a piece of jade. Then, she started to angrily destroy the building, but she was stopped by a gentle voice. So it's a Ghost King. The person who came was Qing Hao. He frowned as if it was the first time he saw Tanghua. His acting was very good. Tanghua was very cooperative. She stared at him fiercely. The murderous aura around her couldn't be restrained. Who are you? It doesn't matter who I am, but I won't allow you to destroy the peace of the world of ordinary people. No matter what happened to you, you can't cause destruction here. These words were so noble. If Tanghua hadn't obtained all the memories and wasn't a simple person who was easy to deceive, she might have really believed it. Yes, the moment the resentment broke through the power that bound her, countless memories poured into her mind. These memories were the ones that had been sealed before. They belonged to the original owner of the body. The person in front of her was called Qing Hao. He was a gentle and elegant person on the surface, but what he did was to sell others and let others count the money for him and praise him as a good person. The original owner of the body was an ordinary person in this world. She had a happy family. In the virtual world, everyone in the family was supported by real data. That was why the original owner was so persistent. The original owner of the body was studying abroad and was busy with her research. That month was her birthday. The original owner of the body's family went abroad to celebrate her birthday. In the end, they encountered gangsters and all of them died. The original owner was filled with grief and guilt. She no longer had the heart to learn. Even if she was talented, she couldn't learn anything and lost all will to fight. Because she missed her family and felt guilty, she became very thin in less than 2 months. Her mental illness was very serious. In the end, she died in a car accident. After her death, she was trapped in the virtual world. The death of the original owner's family had nothing to do with Qing Hao, but the death of the original owner and his decadence had something to do with Qing Hao. At that time, Qing Hao wanted to choose a candidate for the Ghost King, and inadvertently set his eyes on the original host. He knew that she was in pain after losing her family, so he created a dream every day so that the original host would dream of losing her family every night. Over time, normal people would be driven crazy. When she was out on the streets, she suddenly got into a car accident. The experiences of the original owner were all because Qing Hao wanted to make her resentment and turn her into a ghost king. The reason why he chose to practice in the virtual world was because he was afraid of causing too much of a commotion. If others and Xingqian discovered him, he wouldn't be able to succeed. In the end, the original owner accumulated enough resentment and recovered her memory. Just like Tanghua, she rushed out to find the person who made her suffer. Chapter 55-46. Of course, there were times when she couldn't control herself and wanted to destroy everything. Qinghao's appearance was to lead her to Xingqian. Everything he did was in Xingqian's name. The original owner really hated Xingqian and wanted to find him for revenge. With Qinghao's help, the two worked together to open the door to the spiritual realm. After obtaining the cultivation technique, the host first absorbed the spiritual realm's energy to attract Xingqian's attention. After seeing Xingqian, the two started fighting. Qinghao took the chance to find his beloved, Meng Shangxue. The host was a bit stronger than Xingqian, but the spiritual realm was Xingqian's territory. So, the two couldn't do anything to each other. After Xingqian figured out the reason, he explained to the host that this was all Qinghao's scheme. He had been in the spiritual realm all this time and never left. The host was even angrier after learning the truth. These two fought over a woman, but she had to suffer so much. So, she decided to destroy the spiritual realm. At this time, Xingqian, Qinghao, and Meng Shangxue had to work together to get rid of the host. The host was a tool for the three of them to reconcile. Because the host was too strong, the three of them had problems working together. In the end, Meng Shangxue thought of the host's weakness and lured her into an illusion to make it look like her parents' souls were still in the spiritual realm. In the eyes of the three of them in the spiritual realm, the host was a complete demon. In the end, the host was killed by the three of them using her weakness. Xingqian and Qinghao also reconciled and let Meng Shangxue choose. But Meng Shangxue felt that choosing Qinghao would be letting Xingqian down. Choosing Xingqian would be letting Qinghao down. In the end, they didn't choose. It felt like they wanted both, but Xingqian and Qinghao didn't acknowledge each other. After getting all the memories, Tanghua felt like she had been drenched in dog blood. It was a love triangle that caused the host to suffer so much. Any hatred you have is not a reason for you to hurt the innocent. Qinghao walked to Tanghua and looked around. I didn't expect Xingqian to do this secretly. You have a grudge against him, right? Xingqian? Tanghua pretended to be confused. Her murderous aura stabilized. Who is he? I've been trapped in a virtual world, and I've experienced the pain of losing my family over and over again. I want to kill him. It won't be easy to kill Xingqi. Qinghao is already looking around the room. Let's go. Follow me to see if Xingqian left anything behind. He probably wanted to create a game that would shock the world, so he integrated you into the virtual world. I just didn't expect you to be able to come out. Right, Xingqiang is the boss of this game company. Qinghao added Xingqi's identity, but this is just his surface identity. He's actually from the spirit realm and lives in the mortal realm. This is Xingqiu. Do you recognize him? When Qinghao had captured the original owner of the body, he had inadvertently exposed his appearance, so of course he knew her. Tanghua's murderous aura went out of control again. I remember him. Where is the torture chamber? He probably felt that he couldn't trap you anymore, so he fled back to the spirit realm. Tanghua asked, where is the spiritual realm? I can tell you, but the spiritual realm is his territory. As long as he closes the gate to the spiritual realm, it's hard to break in. Qinghao looked distressed. But as long as you don't destroy the order of the mortal realm, I can do my best. We can work together to open the gate to the spiritual realm. Take me there immediately. Qinghao's lips curled up. Okay, but you have to promise not to hurt the innocent. You'll only cause trouble for Xingqian. As long as I see Xingqian, why would I hurt the innocent? Tanghua controlled her powerful soul power so that it wouldn't leak out and scare the other party. This world was more advanced, so the soul power she could use was naturally stronger. Chapter 55-47. You'd better retract your murderous aura. Haven't you noticed that wherever you go, the temperature is very low? Even the water droplets have frozen. Tangwa followed Qinghao's gaze and looked at the big fish tank in the office. The fish in the tank were all frozen. She felt that the fish were still alive, so she retracted her murderous aura. Qinghao walked to the fish tank and placed his palm on it. A force came out of his palm and melted all the ice in a short while. The fish in the tank swam freely again. Fortunately, it melted in time. If it had been any longer, these fish would have died. Tangwa mocked him in her heart. What a hypocrite. It was her first time seeing such a pretentious and disgusting person. If he was a merciful person, he would not have taken the soul of an ordinary dead person. He would not have let this soul suffer the pain of losing a loved one, and he would not have nurtured it into a ghost king. In his eyes, all living things were ants. He had done evil things, but he still wanted everyone to have a good impression of him and think that he was a merciful person. Take me to the door of the spiritual realm, Tangwa urged. She really couldn't wait to go over. She really wanted to beat Qinghao up right now. She wanted to beat his hypocritical face until it was swollen and torn apart. She was full of murderous aura, so Qinghao did not suspect Tangwa's anger at all. He only thought that she could not wait to deal with Xingqian. He walked in front with his back facing Tangwa. There was a smile on his face. He still looked like a spring breeze. Tangwa followed behind him. When she saw him jump lightly, she also jumped and quickly followed. After leaving the city, the dark clouds in the sky dispersed. The sun came out again and shone on the building. The air warmed up and the water in the fountain melted quickly. The people who were running back to get more clothes also looked at the sun in the sky strangely when they felt the warmth. Everyone was puzzled. If they had not experienced this scene, they would not have believed that such a miraculous thing could happen. Back at Tangwa's side, she followed Qinghao over the mountains. After floating for about 2 hours, they finally arrived at the foot of a tall mountain. The mountain was steep and a little gloomy. This is the location of the Spirit Realm Gate. Let's join hands and see if we can open it. I've tried before, and I can't force it open by myself. Qinghao said. Tangwa also felt that this place was indeed different. There were basically no insects, fish, birds, or beasts. Judging from this geographical location, ordinary people passing through here might encounter some small dangers. At first glance, the scenery here was clearly not bad, but there were no traces of human footsteps, which was very telling. If someone were to pass by the lake next to it, many lives would be lost. The formation has been set up. Use all your strength to send your power inside. Don't relax. Whether or not we can succeed depends on whether our power is enough. Tangwa did not hesitate. Instead, she seemed to be impatient. When she channeled her power into the formation, she felt a strong resistance from inside. She didn't stop and continued to transfer power. Of course, she wasn't going all out. If she used all her strength, she was afraid that she would frighten Qinghao. Qinghao, on the other hand, was quite hardworking. He tried his best to transfer power into the gate. In fact, he was more eager than Tangwa to open the gate to the spiritual realm. At this moment, he didn't hold back at all. Chapter 55-48. He didn't know that Tangwa only sped up when she saw that he was almost done. Half an hour later, the door to the spiritual realm finally loosened and opened slowly. At this moment, Qinghao shouted, "Go in quickly. We can't open it completely with our strength." Tangwa did as she was told and floated in. Qinghao followed closely behind. When he felt the soul power of the spiritual realm, he couldn't control his excitement. His hard work paid off. He finally opened the door to the spiritual realm and came to the spiritual realm. Xingqian probably didn't expect that he would come in this way, right? He wondered how Shang Shui was doing. Where is Xingqian? Tangwa didn't control her evil spirit anymore. The evil spirit stirred the surrounding vegetation and frightened the insects, fishes, birds, and beasts. Perhaps the plants in the spiritual realm were different from those in the human realm. The temperature here was very low, but the water didn't freeze. Even the vegetation wasn't frozen. I have a cultivation method here that can help you absorb the soul power of the spiritual realm. As long as you absorb the soul power according to the method, no matter where Xingqian is in the spiritual realm, he will come. When he comes, you will be able to deal with him. Tangwa took the cultivation method that Qinghao gave her. There was no problem with it. It could indeed help her absorb the soul power of the spiritual realm quickly. She didn't stand on ceremony and started reading it. Qinghao was very satisfied. I've already helped you come to the spiritual realm. I have no obligation to help you with other things. You and Xingchen can settle the matter between you. Okay, then I'm leaving. He had to hide and recuperate. When the two were fighting, he would have a chance to take Shang Shui away. You're leaving just like that? Tang Hua's voice suddenly sounded. It sounded a little strange. Qinghao turned back in confusion. Before he could ask anything, he was pressed to the ground by Tang Hua's soul suppression. His knees sank deep into the ground, almost burying his waist. Qinghao was suppressed to the point that he could not speak. He did not even have the chance to use his secret technique. He heard the sound of approaching footsteps and raised his head with difficulty. He saw Tang Hua slowly walking in front of him and squatting down with a smile on her face. Do you think I'm a fool? You caused me to lose my life. You caused me to experience the pain of losing my loved ones again and again in the virtual world. We'll settle this score slowly. Tang Hua's fair palm landed on the top of Qinghao's head. Under Qinghao's horrified expression, she forcibly extracted his soul. Qinghao screamed in pain. His face twisted in pain. Tang Hua pinched Qinghao's soul and looked at him struggling in her hand. She sneered. Now you know the pain of being manipulated by others? What do you want? Tang Hua's gaze fell on Qinghao's body, and a hammer appeared in her left hand. As Qinghao shouted no, the hammer smashed Qinghao's soulless body to pieces on the ground. What kind of divine weapon was that? Qinghao was shocked and terrified. This was clearly the soul of an ordinary person. How could this be? How could she have such a powerful technique? Her soul strength could directly suppress him. He had no way to resist. Her soul strength was unimaginably strong. Could it be that she was not an ordinary person? Was she the reincarnation of a powerful person's sealed power, and he accidentally bumped into her? After all, only by cultivating and increasing his strength would the gap between them shrink. There's one more thing I need your help with in the future. Songwon, tell me. If I can do it, I'll definitely do it. If he couldn't do it, he would go and learn. When the time comes, you can create a virtual world like the one I had before. It's not connected to the internet. I'll seal their memories and make up some melodramatic plots for them to experience over and over again, Tang Hua said. When Songwon heard this, he said easily, this is not a problem at all. But will this increase their strength? When the time comes, I'll set up a formation to evolve all their strength. It won't increase. That's good. The two of them didn't speak anymore. They were both absorbing soul power crazily. A lot of soul power surged around the two of them, forming a huge vortex. Chapter 55-50. He didn't even have time to look around before he rushed in. Tang Hua followed closely behind. Qinghao, you're despicable. How dare you pretend to be the refining Ghost King and use the Ghost King to distract me and take Shangshui away? Qinghao felt like his soul was about to dissipate. When he saw Xingchen rushing over, he was so scared that he hid behind Meng Shangshui. At that moment, Meng Shangshui felt a little strange, but she stopped him in time. Xingchen, don't do anything in front of me. It's not what you think. Qinghao is in a bad situation now. Then, Meng Shangshui saw Tang Hua standing behind Xingchen. She was a very beautiful woman. She didn't know what her relationship was with Xingchen. Why did he bring a woman back? She felt a little uncomfortable. She's the Ghost King, Qinghao reminded in a low voice. Get Xingchen here. That Ghost King will do something to you. Now, whether they could escape this ordeal depended on Xingchen. Qinghao had never been so hopeful. Xingchen had been cultivating diligently for the past few years and was stronger than him. He wasn't jealous at all. Xingchen, come here, Meng Shangshui shouted. Xingchen was confused, but he walked over obediently. Tang Hua didn't stop him. She only glanced at Qinghao. This guy was probably stirring up trouble again. Qinghao felt his scalp go numb. He had experienced Tang Hua's cruelty before, so he didn't dare to say anything else. He believed that if she wanted to, she could capture him in an instant. Xing-chun, what's your relationship with her? Meng Shangxue asked. Didn't you say you had something to do? Why did you bring someone back? Xing-chun said. She was the one who caused the commotion. His gaze fell on Qing Hao. It's all his fault. Qing Hao is so miserable now. What did he do? Xing-chun, you're always like this. You blame everything on Qing Hao. He didn't do anything, but you have to put the blame on him. Didn't you ask me why you can't compare to Qing Hao? I'll tell you today. It's because you're too cunning and scheming. I like simple and gentle people. When I'm with you, I always feel uncomfortable. No matter what I do, I feel like I'm being schemed against. Xing Qiong was so angry that he laughed. So, I'm that kind of person in your mind? Touch your conscience and ask yourself, when have I ever schemed against you? I've always treated you wholeheartedly. On the other hand, this guy is a hypocrite. He's just good-looking and knows how to talk. Actually, he's much more calculating than I am. Today, an uninvited guest came to my spiritual realm. You can ask Qing Hao if he knows about this. Meng Shangxue only knew that Qing Hao was tormented by a ghost king, but she did not know the reason. Although Xing Chun was biased towards Qing Hao, she still turned to look at him. Qing Hao, what's going on? Qing Hao was silent for a while. After all, it was disgraceful to say this, but he couldn't hide it anymore. I was forced to do this. Back then, Xing Chun used some tricks to take you away and close the gates to the spiritual realm. With my strength alone, I couldn't force it open. So I planned to raise a ghost king and have her cooperate with me to open the gates to the spiritual realm. So, you created that ghost king for me? Meng Shangxue was moved. Her mind was filled with the thought that Qing Hao had done so much for her. In the end, he was so weak because of the backlash from the ghost king, right? Xing Chun saw that Meng Shangxue was so moved that her eyes were red and tearing up. She was so angry that she laughed. Xing Qin, although Qing Hao was at fault for implicating your spiritual realm, it was your fault in the beginning. If you hadn't brought me here, Qing Hao wouldn't have been forced to use the ghost refining king. Chapter 55-51. Xingsu, stop right there. Don't do anything in front of me. It's not what you think. Qing Hao is in a bad situation now. Then, Meng Shangxue saw Tanghua standing behind Xing Chun. Tanghua was a very beautiful woman. She didn't know what her relationship with Xing Chun was. Why did he bring a woman back? She felt a little uncomfortable. She's the ghost king, Qing Hao reminded her softly. Get Xingsu here. That ghost king will do you harm. Now, whether they could survive this ordeal or not depended on Xingsu. Qing Hao had never looked forward to it so much. Xingsu had been cultivating diligently for the past few years and was stronger than him. He was not jealous at all. Xingsu, come here, Meng Shangxue shouted. Xingsu was confused, but he still walked over obediently. Tanghua did not stop him. She only glanced at Qing Hao. This guy was probably stirring up trouble again. Qing Hao's scalp went numb. He had experienced Tanghua's cruelty. He did not dare to say anything else. He believed that if she wanted to, she could capture him in an instant. Xingsu, what's your relationship with her? Meng Shangxue asked. Didn't you say you had something to do? Why did you bring someone back? Xingsu said. She was the one who caused the commotion. His gaze fell on Qing Hao. He did it. Qing Hao is so miserable now. What did he do? Xingsu, you're always like this. You blame everything on Qing Hao. He didn't do anything. Why do you have to put the blame on him? Didn't you ask me why you're not as good as Qing Hao? I'll tell you today. You're too cunning and scheming. I like simple and gentle people. When I'm with you, I always feel uncomfortable. No matter what I do, I feel like I'm being schemed against. Xingsu was so angry that he laughed. Am I such a person in your heart? Ask yourself, when have I ever schemed against you? I've always been loyal to you. On the other hand, this guy is a hypocrite. He's just good-looking and knows how to talk. Actually, he's much more scheming than I am. Today, an uninvited guest came to my spiritual realm. You can ask Qing Hao if he knows about this. Meng Shangxue only knew that Qing Hao was tormented by a ghost king, but she did not know the reason. Although Xing Chun was biased towards Qing Hao, she still turned to look at him. Qing Hao, what's going on? Qing Hao was silent for a while. After all, it was disgraceful to say this, but he couldn't hide it anymore. I had no choice but to do this. Back then, Xing-Chi used some underhanded means to take you away and shut the gate to the spirit world. With my own strength, I can't forcefully open it, so I plan to nurture a ghost king and let the ghost king cooperate with me to open the gate to the spirit world. So, you created that ghost king for me? Meng Shangxue was touched. Her mind was filled with the thought that Qing Hao had done so much for her. Chapter 55-52. Xing Chun was enraged. His power surged towards Qing Hao. Meng Shangxue quickly blocked it. Xing Chun saw her move and quickly retracted his power. At this moment, Qing Hao spoke. Xing Chun, let's put aside our past grievances for now. We have more important things to do now. As he spoke, he looked fearfully in Tangua's direction. The most important thing now is to find a way to get rid of her. Xing Chen's expression was indifferent. He spoke as if this matter had nothing to do with him. Why should I help you get rid of her? I've already made things clear to this lady. You're the one who harmed her, not me. Xing Chen, how can you be like this? Is this the time to be making sarcastic remarks? We should unite and deal with her together. Qing Hao just said that she was the one who caused him to become like this. Meng Shangxue interrupted. Although Xing Chun was a little confused as to how Qing Hao had been harmed by Tangua, he was quickly angered by Meng Shangxue's words. Why was it always his fault no matter what happened? Xing Chun, don't think that this has nothing to do with you. Qing Hao was a little anxious. Do you know how she caused me to become like this? That's because she already knew that I was the one who did it. Since I was the one who did it, why did she still look for you? Think about it yourself. If you don't join forces with us, you'll end up worse than me. Xing Chen frowned and turned to look at Tangua. He saw that she was leisurely leaning to the side, as if waiting for them to catch up. Lady, did you know that Qing Hao was the one who plotted against you?
Yes.
Xing Chun did not understand. Then you should be looking for Qing Hao for revenge. Why did you come to the spiritual realm? That woman was right about one thing. If it weren't for you, this wouldn't have happened. Why do you think I'm here? Tangua smiled and stood up straight. Now that you're done catching up, why don't we settle the score? Lady, you're being unreasonable. Who can predict what will happen in the future? Me taking Shangxue away has nothing to do with you. If you want to blame someone, you should blame Qing Hao for his selfishness. Xing Chun clearly realized that Tangua was not a simple person. After all, if Qing Hao could not resist her, then his ending would not be much different. I'll tell you the truth. I'm a reincarnator. Xing frowned. Reincarnator? These few words could be understood just by looking at the literal meaning of it. Qing Hao, you should know very well what a reborn person is, right, Qing Hao? Tangua's gaze swept towards Qing Hao, who was standing behind Meng Shangxue. After all, you made me reincarnate countless times in the virtual world just to provoke me and make me explode with resentment, become a ghost king, and then help you open the door to the spirit realm. Qing Hao's face turned pale. His previous guess was wrong. Tangua was not a powerful being, but a reincarnator who had experienced everything? If that was the case, it would make sense for the other party's soul energy to be so strong. What do you want? Qing Hao asked. Do you want to hear the original story? Tangua asked with a smile, but she didn't give them a chance to answer. Instead, she said, in your previous life, you succeeded and asked me to help you open the gate to the spirit realm. Then I went to look for Xing Chen. While we were fighting, you went to see Meng Shangxue. But you did not expect that I would become stronger and stronger. In the end, the three of you joined forces and killed me. Chapter 55-53. After that, I was reborn, Tangua added. System. The host's ability to make up stories is getting stronger and stronger. At this moment, all three of them frowned. If Tangua was not lying, then the other party was definitely much stronger than them. No wonder Qing Hao was defeated by her. Since you're so strong, how could the three of us kill you if we joined forces? Didn't you know how to escape? Meng Shangxue suddenly asked. At our level, even if we can't win, it's still easy to escape. I'm really confused. Why did you get killed by us? You're not making up stories to deceive us, are you? Meng Shangxue already believed what Tanghua said. It was because of this that she was afraid of Tanghua's power. Just as she had asked, the other party was so strong. If they paid a price, escaping would not be a problem. Why didn't they escape in the end? In between, Tanghua must have omitted something that she could not say. She asked this in order to fish for information. That's none of your business. Tanghua casually made up a story for Meng Shangxue to see that she was indeed smart. She was able to extract the most important thing from a long story. Meng Shangxue was not anxious at all even though she did not get an answer. This was because Tanghua's expression already told her that she must have found some weakness to be able to kill the other party. Otherwise, Tanghua's expression would not be so unnatural. She even looked like she did not want to remember. Meng Shangxue's thoughtful expression almost made Tanghua laugh. Anyway, she had already sealed the door to the spiritual realm. She would play hide and seek with these people. First, she would give them a little bit of hope. Then, she would tear their hope to shreds and make them feel despair and fear. Weren't they like that too? They liked to play with other people's fates. A life full of resentment was just a spice in their relationship. Let's go, shouted Xingchen suddenly. A ferocious wave of energy shot towards Tanghua's position. Immediately after, his silhouette disappeared in front of Tanghua, and an array appeared in front of Tanghua. When Xingchen shouted, Meng Shangxue reacted very quickly. She pulled Xing Hao and disappeared. Although they were a little angry when they quarreled with Xing Chen just now, they quickly looked at each other in tacit understanding. They planned to confuse the enemy and then take the opportunity to hide in the formation. At least, they could give the enemy some time to react. Xing Hao had been tortured to such an extent by the other party. It was obvious that they could not fight force with force. They had to outsmart him. Xing Hao knew Tanghua the best, so Meng Shangxue decided to ask Xing Hao about Tanghua's weaknesses later. Tanghua looked at the fog in front of her and did not panic. Her attainments in array formations might not be unrivaled forever, but at least in this small world, no one was more profound than her. The formation in front of her was full of flaws, and she could easily break it. Even if he used brute force, he could easily break it open. However, she still pretended to be lost in the array formation, as if she was trapped. It's a little boring, system. I feel like this transmigration journey is about to end. Soon, I'll be able to leave these thousands of small worlds and return to my original place. The system was surprised. Just as the soul power was about to break free, it instantly absorbed the jade that contained the soul power of the array formation. Originally, my soul power was not easy to recover. It even increased a lot before this. Then, I could clearly feel that the truth was only separated by a very thin layer of paper. Chapter 55-54. The system was so excited that it was incoherent. The great host had traveled through so many worlds. It was time for her to return to her original world and find herself. If this continued, he felt that she would be a little tired. Tanghua, it's been so many years, and you've become the most powerful system, but you still haven't forgotten about the serial number. After the system finished sending the email, it roughly scanned the system space and organized it in an instant. It was really too happy. When it scanned the sky spring, it was stunned. Tanghua was also a little surprised. She really hadn't been to the sky spring for a long time. Sometimes, when there were many worlds connected, she didn't need to rest at all. It wasn't like before. Looks like my intuition was right. Her soul could faintly feel a calling, but it wasn't very strong. She even heard some voices, but it was too messy and she couldn't make out the content of those voices. As for Xing Qian and the other two who were hiding on the other side of the array, they looked as if they were facing a great enemy. That's how it is. If there's any weakness, it would be her family. When I set up the virtual world, the family Tang people were created one by one according to the family in her world, Xing Hao said. Meng Shangxue. So, her weakness is her family. We can use this to kill her. However, this method can only be used once. We have to kill her in one fell swoop. I'm not sure if the combined strength of the two of you can kill her in one fell swoop. Xing Hao's face was full of fear. She stripped my soul with her bare hands. I didn't even have a chance to use my secret technique to escape. The power of her soul is very strong. Just one soul suppression is enough to make people of our level lose all ability to move. Xing couldn't help but reveal a look of shock on his face. Was it really that powerful? If that was the case, he was no match for Tanghua, because he and Qinghao were neck and neck. Since Qinghao had said so, he was definitely inferior. Isn't there a land of evil in the spirit realm? Even we weren't able to go too far in that time. The fiendish energy violently messed up our power and almost caused us to explode. Meng Xiangxue suddenly thought of this. Why don't we think of a way to lure her to that place? As long as we let her go deeper and trap her for a while, she will definitely explode and die. She's not a fool. We can't beat her in terms of strength, so how can we trap her? Moreover, the array formation that trapped her outside was not something that could be set up in a short period of time. Also, there's no way for us to set up a formation in that place. Qinghao said. Meng Xiangxue smiled, her face full of confidence. Doesn't she have a weakness? We can use any means to make her chase after her family to that place. There's no reason for her not to go. Chapter 55-55. When Xingqian and Qinghao heard this, their eyes lit up. It was true. Especially Qinghao, a smile appeared on his lips. She cares about her family the most. This method will work. Then let's get ready immediately, Xingqian said. I'll carve a few wooden puppets later and then transform them into her family. But I don't know what they look like. I'll draw it out later. Qinghao said. Okay, then there's no problem. This should be the time when the two of them got along well. An hour later, Tanghua broke the array. When she was chasing after the aura of the three of them, she suddenly found a few familiar faces. Wasn't that a member of the Tang family? These family Tang people didn't seem to be struggling because they were now being controlled by some people who looked down on them. They were heading towards the original owner. Tanghua followed them. If she didn't put on a show, how could the three of them be relieved? After Tanghua left, the three of them looked at each other and followed after her. Tanghua knew this move. It was also the move that the three of them had used to kill the original owner. That was the reason why she had come here. The three of them should be following behind slowly. As she leaped, she threw spirit stones on the ground. At the same time, she made hand seals and quickly set up an array. It wasn't a powerful array. It was just an illusion array. She just wanted to lure them into a place full of demonic aura. In order to prevent the three of them from noticing anything, she added a little bit of protection on the array. So even though the three of them had run into a place full of demonic aura, they didn't feel very uncomfortable. After running for a long time, the three of them started to have doubts. Could it be that too much time had passed, so this path was longer than they thought? When they ran to the edge of the cliff and saw Tang was sitting there waiting for them, their expressions changed slightly. Did we go the wrong way? The wooden puppets are already at the bottom of the cliff. I can feel it. Xingqian said. She followed us here. Then why is there no demonic aura here? Qinghao was confused. And her. Thinking of Tanghua's tricks, Qinghao shouted, Go, let's go quickly. However, it was too late. Tanghua had already dispelled the formation, and the murderous aura surged in from all directions. The impact was so strong that the three of them couldn't even stand steadily. Tanghua still wanted to keep Qinghao alive. She didn't want him to die here, so she reached out and grabbed his soul. Then she kneaded him into a ball and threw him out, forming a very beautiful parabola. The remaining two had no time to pay attention to anything else. They were all trying their best to resist the fiendish aura entering their bodies. Tanghua leisurely sat on the edge of the cliff. She looked at the two people struggling in pain and laughed. Although you are very smart, how could you forget that I am a reincarnated person? Tanghua's question made Meng Xiangxue's face turn pale. Yes, Tanghua was a reincarnator. She had thought of a good idea, but she had forgotten that the other party was a reincarnated person. Perhaps he had already experienced such a situation. So you died here? Xingqiang asked. Tanghua lowered her head. Yes, I also want you to have a taste of what it is like to explode here. Don't worry, I am not as cruel as you. I will not let you die. At the crucial moment, I will protect your souls. Like Qing Hao, this was what Ming Shangxue and Xing Chan wanted to do. No, they were not willing to do that. They had cultivated for who knows how many years. They simply couldn't accept the fact that they had become ordinary souls. She was getting impatient, so she stood up and walked towards the two of them. You dare what? Meng Shangxue asked subconsciously. Why aren't you guys exploding? I can't wait any longer. I'll give you a hand. No, Meng Shangxue shouted, followed by Xing Qian. While the two of them were terrified, Tangwa crazily absorbed the murderous aura below the cliff and transferred it to the two of them. System. What a cunning operation. Bang. Bang. Following two sounds, Meng Shangxue and Xing Qian's bodies finally exploded. The moment they felt intense pain, Tangwa kept a trace of their souls, which was the strength of an ordinary person's soul. See, I'm very trustworthy. I said I won't take your lives, so I won't take your lives. As she spoke, she placed restrictions on the two of them, then rolled them into a ball and threw them outside. After that, she began to absorb the murderous aura around her to strengthen her soul. The entire spiritual realm felt that there was a strange movement here. Songwon felt that familiar aura, as if he was in a very bad place. He stood up and rushed over. However, the murderous aura in front of him stopped him. These things were very scary. He was very worried about Tangwa's safety, so he anxiously walked in circles. In the end, he actually gritted his teeth and directly rushed inside. However, before he could take 2 steps, his soul seemed to be about to disperse. At this moment, a golden light appeared between his eyebrows and instantly covered his entire body. His soul closed up, and he stood firmly in the murderous aura. The pain on his face also disappeared. With a leap, he disappeared from where he stood. Chapter 55-57. In an instant, Songwon arrived at the center of the fiendish energy vortex and saw Tangwa sitting on the edge of the cliff, absorbing the fiendish energy. Seeing her standing there unscathed, his anxious heart finally calmed down. He wanted to walk over, but he was afraid that the aura he exuded would make her suspect something. He clearly knew that she was not so weak, but when he could not see her, he was still so impulsive and exposed himself. If he was still the ignorant Songwon from before, he would have lived a happy life. But now, he was no longer the ignorant Songwon. For a moment, he did not know how to approach her. It was because the fiendish energy here was too dangerous that his seal was activated and his memories and power were released. It was almost impossible to change back now. He had already fused with Songwon's soul. Songwon was not someone else. He was also a part of him, a sliver of his soul that he had scattered to various small worlds. As for why he did this, it was a long story. His name was Yin Yao. Her name was Aguagua. They knew each other, and were even very familiar with each other. She was the princess of Tianhai, cute and domineering. Many people called her Tianhai's little conqueror. And he was an existence that suddenly wandered in Tianhai one day and happened to meet her, who was only 7 or 8 years old. At that time, they were best friends. The princess of Tianhai, who was envied by everyone, also had her troubles. She liked to share with him. He did not know how to comfort her. He could only silently listen from the side. He was born cold. No matter what emotion it was very faint in his mind. At first, he did not understand what love was, but in his heart, he could feel that Aguagua was not ordinary. As for why she was not ordinary, he did not know. No one told him, and he did not know how to express his feelings. So one day, he left, because he heard all kinds of voices in Tianhai. Those voices told him that a happy event would soon occur in Tianhai. He continued to listen. Then he heard that the princess of Tianhai, Aguagua, was going to discuss marriage. He should have had no emotions, but at that time, he was a little sad, as if he had been abandoned. He did not like being abandoned and continuing to wander. But Aguagua was about to discuss marriage. He heard the voices in the sky and sea talking a lot. They all said that a Guagua was going to live on the land on the other side of the mountain in the future. In the future, he would never return to Tianhai. He didn't believe it at first, but after waiting for 2 days, Guagua still hadn't come, so he naturally believed it. On the 3rd day, Guagua came. The first thing she asked him was if he wanted to be with her forever. If he wanted to, she would take him back to the palace. He had heard that people would bring a dowry when they got married. He mistakenly thought that a Guagua intended to bring him along as a dowry. After all, his original body did look very much like a dowry. He decisively refused. Now that he thought about it, he really wanted to slap himself. What dowry? Guagua just wanted to change their relationship. A Guagua was a very stubborn person. She wouldn't admit defeat easily once she made up her mind. At the same time, he also had his own pride. Since he couldn't find out what he was thinking, he left. He thought that Guagua had abandoned him, so he left. Later, he found out that Guagua had gone back to get the magic weapon to take him away. So, he missed the second chance to be taken away by her. After leaving Tianhai, he met his elder brother and left with him. I've already absorbed all the killing intent. Let's go down and see what's going on. I keep hearing noises from below. Okay, Yin Yao answered, pretending to speak in Song Wen's tone, but he was very nervous. Tanghua tilted her head and smiled at him. You look a little strange. Yin Yao pursed his lips nervously. Was it okay for him to imitate himself? The crux of the matter was that he couldn't imitate himself. He only spoke less and chased after them. Dear host, aren't you going to investigate further? This guy is obviously lying. The system didn't understand. You can't accept a liar. I'm waiting for him to confess. Yin Yao felt uneasy all over. His eyes were fixed on Tanghua and never left her. How could Tanghua not notice such an obvious look? She could sense the dense soul aura. He hadn't been possessed. It should be the same as her. At this time, Tanghua's face is slightly different from before. It can only be said that she looks very similar. In addition, her temperament was very different from the original owners, so no one in the Tang family recognized her. Thank you, master. Tang Baiyin and his family bowed to Tanghua. Tanghua glanced at them one by one and asked, You should all be ordinary souls. Why are you trapped here? Sister, we fell from the reincarnation pool. Chapter 55-60. The one who spoke was Tang Ying. Her eyes were slightly red. Then we were trapped here. It's very uncomfortable. Sister, you're really my second sister. We've been waiting here for a long time, but we didn't see her. Maybe it's because she has a longer lifespan. I hope she can live well. The more I look at this sister, the more she looks like my second sister. Tang Anshan had appeared in front of Tanghua. He looked like a 13-year-old and was wearing a torn casual outfit. He looked very serious. But her aura is different. My second sister is just an ordinary person. She's not as strong as this young lady. Tang Anshan said. Although he also hoped that Tanghua was his second sister, it was impossible. In other words, the reincarnation pool can't let them be reincarnated. They will only fall here? Tanghua pondered. In the end, they will be swallowed by the murderous aura here? Yes. Tang Anshan continued. Even if we hide very far away, our souls will continue to weaken. Take me to the place where you fell. Tanghua looked at the place where they were trapped. Why are you trapped here? Tang Ying, we weren't here at first. We were in another place. But there are very powerful souls here. In order to survive, they eat other souls to replenish themselves. Our family was just captured by them and trapped here. Take me to the place where we fell first. The place where they fell from the reincarnation pool was a trap. Not long after, Tanghua was brought to the destination. In the air above them, there was a black hole. It was as if the sky had been broken. The Tang family members pointed out that they had fallen from this place. But when they were above, they clearly saw that it was the reincarnation pool. It was said that when ordinary people died, they would go back to that place and be reincarnated. Tangwa's powerful soul shrouded the black hole in an instant. Her divine consciousness had already seen the top of the reincarnation pool. She only stopped for a moment and scanned half of the entire spiritual world. After that, she covered the Tang family members and led them into the dark cave entrance. Yin Yao hurriedly followed behind. "This is the place," Tang Anshan said. "Look over there. There are still ordinary souls being sent down." Tangwa had already seen that there was another hole there. She continued to lead the family Tang group into the building. The Tang family members did not quite understand why she would bring them along wherever she went. Only Tang Anshan had a contemplative look on his face. There was a hint of joy and uncertainty. Passing through the dark passageway, a strong ray of sunlight pierced the family Tang members and made them shiver. This time, Yin Yao reacted the fastest. He quickly covered the family. The Tang family members quickly bowed and thanked Yin Yao. Then, they looked at their surroundings in surprise. It was so bright and grand. They had not seen such a place for a long time. This is the human realm, right? Where they used to live. Tangwa's soul scanned the entire human world, trying to find a place where ordinary people would go after death, but to no avail. Only the spot beneath her feet would continuously attract the souls of ordinary people. Even now, there were ordinary souls falling into the hole from all directions. Many souls thought that they had gone to hell, but they did not know that this was a place where they would die. This small world is probably incomplete. There is no reincarnation, Yin Yao said. Chapter 55-61. Tangwa also understood that some small worlds were like this. Her gaze fell on the family Tang people. Since you can't reincarnate, you can cultivate. The family Tang people were a little puzzled. Why did she want to help them? Tangwa did not say much. She took out the basic skills and gave them to them. These skills are more suitable for you. You can stay in the spiritual realm for the time being. That place is suitable for you to cultivate. For the time being? Yin Yao was puzzled. Was she going to do something else? I'll give you some merit. Create that virtual world and connect it to the spiritual realm. Make it a special place for ordinary people to reincarnate. That's already a semi-virtual world. It only needs to evolve continuously. In 1,000 or 800 years, it will become a real world. Yin Yao quickly nodded. He would work hard. You didn't forget how to write the program, right? Tangwa asked again. Yin Yao shook his head. It's all in my head. That's good. You can add some reincarnation programs in it. The fewer loopholes, the better. When this world becomes a real world and connects to the spiritual realm, these reincarnation programs will be copied. Yin Yao understood Tangwa's idea. It was his first time doing something like this. Moreover, she was not angry. She even asked him to do things. This meant that things were not that bad. The people of the Tang clan didn't understand. Tangwa looked at them and said, "You guys should cultivate well. Your special experiences will be of great help to the management of the reincarnation realm in the future. Right now, you should focus on increasing your strength." Of course, this reincarnation realm was prepared for the family Tang people. In this way, the original owner's wish was fulfilled. She hoped that her family would live forever. If you want to reincarnate, you can do it in the future. It's up to you. The family Tang people looked at each other. If the family was together, why would they need reincarnation? Tangwa brought the family Tang people to the spiritual realm and settled down in Xing Chen's palace. Yin Yao did not follow them back. He went to the building where Qing Hao used to work. The employees of the company were panicking when their boss disappeared for a few days. With a transformation, Yin Yao turned into Qing Hao's appearance. When he appeared in the building, he was greeted with smiles from the employees. Then, he smoothly took over the foundation that Qing Hao had built. Then, he naturally instructed the group of programmers to make major changes to the virtual world. The workers were pleasantly surprised by the sudden appearance of the boss. Previously, when the boss didn't appear, they thought that something had happened to the boss. The boss came and distributed the tasks. He seemed to be more generous. Yes, as workers, they really liked to work overtime. There was no coercion at all. Chapter 55-62. Qing Hao and the other two were in spirit form, and their strength was similar to that of an ordinary person. Since Tanghua had sealed off the spiritual realm, they could not escape. Tanghua found them effortlessly. Her divine sense covered the entire spiritual realm, and she searched every inch of it. Even an ant could not escape her detection. The three of them were quite smart. They hid beside the reincarnation pool. They probably thought that she could not find that place. The reincarnation pool was still attracting ordinary souls. Qing Hao and the other two hid near the reincarnation pool. Perhaps they were not ordinary people, so they did not jump into the reincarnation pool as if they had lost their minds. When Tanghua found them, the three of them were talking. Is this place safe? Qing Hao's face was full of worry. He had personally experienced how powerful Tanghua was, but he did not expect her to be so powerful that she was not afraid of the murderous aura at all. The previous scene had shattered all of his hopes. Xing Chen leaned against the cliff and panted heavily. His face was very pale. After all, he had been severely injured not long ago and had not recovered yet. There are many places to hide in the spiritual realm, but with our current strength, we can't consider those places. We might be smashed to pieces before we even enter. As the saying goes, the most dangerous place is the safest place, Ming Shangxue said. Previously, we accidentally found her bringing the family's souls out of the reincarnation pool and brought them to the human realm without hesitation. Obviously, she would not have thought of this place. Yes, the three of them were originally hiding near the reincarnation pool. When they accidentally saw Tanghua appear with the family's souls, they were shocked. They were afraid that Tanghua would discover them. At that time, they hid in the same place like statues. Perhaps there were too many spirits around, or perhaps Tanghua did not even think of them, so they were not discovered. As soon as Tanghua left, they didn't move. At first, Ming Shangxue thought that Tanghua took the wooden puppets made by Xing Chen. After thinking about it carefully, she felt that something was wrong. Those wooden puppets were just illusions. They looked like family Tang people, but once they got close to them, they would realize that something was wrong and would quickly recognize that they were fake. Moreover, they came out of the reincarnation pool together. Wasn't Tanghua at that place? Why was he in the reincarnation pool? It had to be said that Ming Shangxue was quite smart. She quickly guessed a possibility. Beneath the reincarnation pool was the land filled with murderous aura. They were considered people who had lived for a long time. Of course, they knew that there was no such thing as reincarnation in this world. The reincarnation pool was a place of no return. In the past, there had been a higher being who had wanted to reincarnate, but he had jumped in and found that many ordinary souls were being corroded by the baleful aura. Ordinary souls would not last for long before they completely dissipated. It was dark inside and looked very desolate. It was not a good place at all. What should we do now? Qing Hao asked the key question. The three of them fell silent. In their current state, even if they escaped, they would not be able to cultivate. There were powerful restrictions on their bodies. The person who had placed the restrictions was as powerful as Tanghua. Just thinking about it made them feel despair. You have the nerve to ask. If you didn't provoke her, would this have happened? Xing Chen said coldly. Chapter 55-63. Qing Hao retorted bluntly, if it weren't for you, would I have made such a big fuss? All right, stop arguing. Think about what to do. Ming Shangshue's tone was not as gentle as before. There was a hint of blame in her voice as she asked the two to stop arguing. You seem to be very troubled. Let me send you to a good place. Tanghua listened for a while. She did not hear anything important, so she appeared beside the three of them. The three of them were scared out of their wits by this voice. They wanted to float away, but they could not move. While they were struggling, Tanghua reached out and grabbed the three of them. She squeezed them into 3 small balls and continued squeezing them. The three of them screamed miserably, but she didn't seem to be moved at all. Where are you taking us? Meng Shangxue shouted. She was scared. Miss Tang, in fact, we don't have much enmity between us. It was Qing Hao and Xing Chen who did this. If he hadn't taken me away, there wouldn't have been a series of consequences. I was not brought to the spiritual world willingly. I am a victim just like you. When Tangwa heard this, she couldn't help but smile. She wasn't surprised at all. These three people were all very selfish. They did not show their true faces because their strength was on par with each other. No one could do anything to the other. They were also existences who could look down on the common people. They would not be in danger, so of course, they would not be so scared. I'm taking you to a world full of birds and flowers. Tangwa seemed to be in a good mood. Qinghao knows. This world was created by Qinghao himself. By the way, I asked someone to save Lin Xiaoya's data. She is the most realistic NPC in this semi-virtual world. With her company, you won't be too lonely. Qinghao did not feel good when he heard this. He knew better than anyone what Lin Xiaoya's character was like. This was a character who would become more perverted the more she resisted. It was fine if they were strong, but if they were not, they would be miserable if they went up against Lin Xiaoya. Xing Chan and Meng Shangxue asked Qinghao who Lin Xiaoya was. Qinghao could already figure out what Tangwa wanted to do. He was afraid that she wanted to make them pay for what they had gone through. His scalp went numb at the thought of that torture. It was fine if they had memories, but without memories, they were just ordinary spirits. They couldn't resist at all and could only experience the plot she had set up in an endless loop. After listening to Qinghao's explanation, Xing Chan and Meng Shangxue could not help but shudder. Tangwa didn't want to waste any more time with them. She turned around and went to the palace to pick up Tang Anqin. She brought them directly to the office building in the human world. Her divine sense found Yin Yao's position and appeared on his body in an instant. Yin Yao was currently using Qinghao's appearance. The moment he saw Tangwa, he quickly stood up and changed back to his original appearance. The preparations are almost done here. As for the setting of the script, it's up to you now. Tang Anqin was shocked at that moment, but when he saw Yin Yao's original appearance, he heaved a sigh of relief. Tangwa patted Tang Anqin on the head. I'll leave the script to you. I don't think I need to tell you what kind of script it should be, right? Second sister, don't worry. I know how to write it. How could Tang Anqin, who knew the truth, be merciful? Who knew how much second sister had suffered in that virtual world? Chapter 55-64. They had suffered the pain of missing their loved ones in the reincarnation pool, but it was not as painful as second sister losing her loved ones. Qinghao's reason was ridiculous. He killed second sister and made her go through so much pain just to open the door to the spiritual realm to find the person he liked. If he did not let the three of them go through the same thing, he would not be Tang Anqin. Yin Yao gave Tang Anqin a seat. Tang Anqin immediately started typing and started writing the plot. Tangwa even placed Qinghao and the other two to the side, letting them watch Tang Anqin write. From their expressions, she could tell that Tang Anqin's plot was not a good one. 3 hours later, Tang Anqin's plot appeared. It was a plot about a fight in the house. Xing Su was the young master of the big house. When he saw this identity, Xing Su heaved a sigh of relief. After reading on, he felt unwell all over. Because the plot was that Qinghao, who had become a woman, and Meng Shangxue were fighting for attention in front of him. What was more terrifying was that Qinghao's character won. During this period, Meng Shangxue suffered a lot in her hands. In the plot, she liked Qinghao very much. She slept in his room almost every night. After this part of the plot, there was a bracket. The important parts were written in the bracket. What was worse was that one night, Qinghao would awaken his memories. Tang Anqin did not arrange the plot after his memories were awakened. It depended on Qinghao's reaction. Tangwa's gaze fell on the two of them. Looking at their ugly expressions, they were obviously disgusted to the point of vomiting. In order for the semi-virtual world to operate and evolve as quickly as possible, it was impossible to have only one plot. There had to be various plots. Tang Anqin did not stop. He continued to write the plot. He wrote faster and faster. There were all kinds of plots. He would arrange the three of them as miserable and melodramatic as possible. In order to make them suffer more, he might awaken their memories when they were the happiest. Then, it would be blank. It would depend on how they acted. When the three of them saw this, they swore in their hearts that as long as they regained their memories, they would not do anything bad. If they held back, Tangwa wouldn't be able to achieve her goal. Tangwa saw through their thoughts. Did they really think that they were just going to be tortured? She only wanted the entire world to come to life and fuse with the spirit realm to become a special existence. The living souls placed inside would trigger more and more plots on their own. Only then would they be able to fill in the gaps and make this world more realistic. Tangwa sealed the memories of the 3 silent people and threw them into the virtual world. The time in the virtual world was set by the program, so a minute in the real world might be countless days or even a lifetime. She sat there, waiting for them to develop the plot. Inyao immediately assigned the first script and let the programmers start working. To be honest, this group of workers did not quite understand why their boss always liked this kind of melodramatic plot. Perhaps the pressure was too great? Probably. Managing such a big company, he must be even more bald than them. Thinking of the hot bonus, the workers began to work happily. The few strands of hair hanging down from their foreheads looked particularly vivid. Although they had to experience all kinds of worlds in order to leave a deep impression on them, Tangwa still decided to let them experience the same script dozens of times. Chapter 55-65. The 3 of them went through the first scenario 50 times. Every time Qinghao's memory was awakened, he was pressed down by Xing Chun. Every time, he felt so disgusted that he wanted to vomit and tried to push Xing Chun away. However, Xing Chun had set him to be a playboy with great physical strength. Of course, this was Tangwa's doing. He was only a normal soul now. He couldn't resist at all. In this world, Tangwa would add things in whenever she wanted to enrich the world. After that, he escaped. In the end, Xing Chun wanted to catch him. He kept running, and Xing Chun kept catching him. He did whatever he wanted to do to him. He couldn't resist at all. What was worse was that Meng Shangxue, who hadn't awakened her memory, was still as smart as before. She would take advantage of this time to torture him. He explained his background and experience, but Meng Shangxue turned around and announced that he was possessed. Then everyone knew that he was a wandering ghost. How could the mansion allow such a person to exist? Thus, he was captured and locked in a sturdy cage. The old lady of this mansion was the previous Lin Xiaoye. Inyao changed her data. She was now the old lady of the mansion. When the old lady made a move, it was clear. Qinghao was tortured to death. More importantly, he could feel pain. This must be Tangwa's doing. He really misunderstood Tangwa. Although she did a lot of things that made him feel pain, it really wasn't him who did it. It was because this was a semi-virtual world. As time passed, it would only become more realistic. In the end, Qinghao was burned alive. His rationality told him that this was fake, but the pain in his body couldn't be ignored. After Qinghao's character died, Tangwa sealed his memory. Then, Meng Shangshue's character was found out. Qinghao was proven innocent. Xing Chun took revenge for Qinghao and tortured Meng Shangxue personally. In the end, when Xing Chun wanted to revive Qinghao, Tangwa arranged an NPC for him. She said that he couldn't be revived, but could help him meet Qinghao in his next life. With this plot, Tangwa asked Tang Anshin to write a reincarnation plot. When they were almost done, they would see the plot where they reincarnated. After Xing Qi died in the plot, he regained his memory. Thinking of all the things she had done for Qinghao and all the things she had done to Qinghao, she was so disgusted that she wanted to vomit. He had only experienced it once, but it felt like a nightmare to him. Next, he would have to go through it dozens of times, and there would be all kinds of small interludes in the middle. It was either this or that memory awakening. Later on, they all forgot that they had to guard their hearts and not be fooled. They only thought about how to torture the other party. After dozens of times, they still experienced the reincarnation plot. Xing Chen reincarnated with the memories of her love for Qinghao. Chapter 55-66. According to Tangwa's suggestions, Tang Anshin would write the following plot based on their experiences. Every time, the 3 of them would feel so disgusted that their scalps would go numb. After experiencing so many plots, the three of them had long forgotten their initial awakening and were lost in the plot. Xing Qin and Qing Hao's love for Meng Shangxue had long collapsed when they lost their powers. Xing Qian and Qing Hao still hated each other. Every time they awakened, they couldn't wait to destroy each other's souls. Meng Shangxue was the same. Every time, she would suffer an unexpected calamity and die a horrible death. She hated the two of them. However, it was always difficult for her to awaken her memories. It was all because of the two of them. Unfortunately, their souls didn't collapse. Tang would check their bodies from time to time. This kind of endless cycle was really too painful for them. The three of them didn't know how many times they begged for mercy, but it was useless. Tangwa watched coldly from outside. This world gradually became more realistic. Time in the virtual world was set to pass very quickly. A day outside was equivalent to several lifetimes inside. Therefore, when this world evolved into the real world, only 10 years had passed outside. Inside, thousands of years had passed. The three of them had experienced countless reincarnations. Every time their souls were about to collapse, Tangwa would appear and help them recover. No matter how severe the injuries were, she could heal them. In other words, not only did they lose control of their lives, they didn't even have the chance to die freely. When they sensed that this world was becoming more and more real, they were even more afraid. Because the more real it was, the more painful their experiences would be. Everything was no longer virtual. She's using us. The moment Meng Shangxue regained her memories, she realized that this was already a real world. She was terrified. This is a real world. Qing Hao and Xing Chun also realized it when they awakened their memories. The three of them noticed each other and didn't wait for her to turn around again. Their hearts were in a mess. When Tangwa appeared in front of them, they subconsciously trembled. The punishment for you is almost enough. I'll take you away. The three of them didn't believe that Tangwa would be so kind. Tangwa didn't give them a chance to react. She grabbed them and took them out. Then, they were stuffed into a virtual world. This time, it was a real virtual world, and a virtual world where time passed slower than the outside world. Previously, the storyline had been imported. However, without the evolution of time and the realistic NPCs, it was almost impossible for this world to evolve into a real world. Tangwa thought about it and decided that it would be better to seal them in the virtual world. If she killed them, they might feel relieved. Dear host, is this considered getting rid of the donkey after it has outlived its usefulness? You should learn more idioms. Obviously, the context is not right. Anyway, I know that the host sealed him in because she was afraid that when the reincarnation realm was connected to the spiritual realm and the way of heaven was perfected, the host would find out that they were involved in this matter. At that time, it would be disgusting if their merits were divided. The system still had this bit of knowledge. By sealing them in a virtual world, the heavenly Tao would not be able to discover them. If the heavenly Tao had just perfected the rules, it was still rather immature. If it could not find the culprit, it would not look for the culprit anymore. This matter was considered over. It was busy with many things and had no time to take care of these little luo-luo. 3 years later, the reincarnation realm was connected to the spiritual realm. The reincarnation system inside was activated. The incomplete way of heaven was finally perfected. This world was then truly completed. With the reincarnation world, all living things finally had a chance to be reincarnated. Tangwa, Yin Yao, and Tang Anshan who did this, as well as the family Tang members who were caught by Tangwa to occasionally make a guest appearance, were all divided with merits. When she was free, Tangwa stayed in the human realm. Yin Yao was by her side. She did not ask, and Yin Yao did not dare to go up and say anything. He just silently guarded her. In a few days, I will be leaving. Tangwa's words made Yin Yao a little reluctant. I will wait for you to go back. Okay. Tangwa looked at Yin Yao and guessed that there should not be any deep hatred between them. Yin Yao actually had a lot to say, but she did not have her memories. He recovered his memories. She obviously did not want to develop anything further. He felt a little wronged in his heart. What's your name? I forgot to ask. Yin Yao. Yin Yao. Tangwa paused. It was a familiar name. You seem to have used this name before, right?
Yes.
Yin Yao was not used to such a stranger. She was very close to him in the past, but it was all because he was stupid and misunderstood her. This time, even if she only treated him as a dowry, he would still insist on going. A few days later, Tangwa left this world. Before she left, she said goodbye to the family Tang members. Brother Yin Yao, is she second sister? Why do I feel that she is second sister? Before Yin Yao was about to leave, Tang Anshan ran over and asked. Maybe second sister was not that powerful, but he had an intuition that she was second sister. Yin Yao, she is your second sister. To be exact, your second sister is only a part of her. A very, very, very small part. I have to go too. Are you going with second sister? Because Tangwa told the family Tang members that she was going to another place. Yes. Then you must take good care of second sister. Of course. But I think second sister is so powerful. She doesn't need your care. Tang Anshan said to himself. Yin Yao, she still needs it. After Yin Yao left, Tang Anshan quickly ran back to the family Tang. Dad, Mom, brother, sister. She is second sister. She is really second sister. Yin Yao left the small world. Just as he was tracking Tangwa's aura and preparing to enter the next world, he suddenly felt a slight pain in the depths of his soul. His expression changed. Yuan Jiao, it's you again. Chapter 55-67. It was no wonder that Yin Yao's expression suddenly turned ugly, because Nine Origin destroyed his soul in the next small world, as well as his physical body. Not only that, he even set up an array formation outside the small world. At this time, he was outside the array formation. From the aura on the array formation, he could tell that Nine Origin set up this array formation was definitely not something that happened in a day or two. He must have spent a very long time meticulously setting it up and even brought helpers to set it up. No wonder for so many years, Nine Origin did not appear again. He was probably waiting for him here. A guagua had probably already been transmitted to the small world. Otherwise, the array formation would not have been activated. Not sure if Nine Origin did anything inside. He had to rush to the small world as soon as possible. Yin Yao took out a blade and slashed hard on the array formation. Who knew that before the blade landed, it was stopped by a force? No, not just one. He was already surrounded. You came out too late. I didn't appear for so many years just to wait for this day. It's just that this is a world that I meticulously set up. If this world didn't have you, a guagua should like someone like me. The ones surrounding Yin Yao were Nine Origin and his people. Yin Yao turned his head, his eyes full of coldness. You're courting death. Ever since I almost died in a guagua's hands last time, my original body never appeared again. What you see is merely my external incarnation. After all, I'm the kind that cherishes my life more. When Nine Origin said this, he was still somewhat proud of himself. A guagua and Yin Yao wanted to live together and come out of the small world happily. They had to ask him, Nine Origin, whether he agreed or not. He grinned at Yin Yao. That smile was very nasty. Do you think that your scheme can really do anything to a guagua? Although Yin Yao was worried about Tangwa, he knew that she was capable and would definitely be able to turn misfortune into blessing. What he was nervous about was that he did not want to be unable to participate every time she encountered something. This would give him a very powerless feeling. It won't do anything to her, but it can disgust the two of you. Nine Origin grinned, but Yin Yao did not want to talk nonsense with the other party. He rushed over with the blade. Before the other party could react, Nine Origin's external incarnation was chopped into pieces by him. Then, he quickly chopped up the rest of the people. Nine Origin was an outer body incarnation, but the others were not. Since they provoked him, then it was the fate of being hacked to death. Fuck. These two are really jackals of the same lair, cutting people down without saying a word. The Nine Origin, who was hiding in an unknown place, suddenly opened his eyes. Losing an avatar, he naturally felt it. There was still a trace of pain in the depths of his soul. Fortunately, he cut it off in time. Otherwise, he would feel the pain at the same time. Nine Origin wiped his sweat. Thinking of Agwagwa and Yin Yao's savagery, a look of struggle appeared on his face. He was not willing to give up just like this. In that world, he also left an avatar behind. He wondered if it could discuss the two of them. In fact, he was not so enthusiastic about getting Tangwa's heart since a long time ago. He just felt that he would feel uncomfortable if he did not let them suffer a loss. Besides, their existence had indeed ruined his plans. He had to teach them a lesson. I wonder how long that array formation can last. He sensed that Yin Yao's blade was slashing on the formation, and his eyelids were twitching. He had underestimated that guy. He didn't expect him to be a good-for-nothing. Mobile version website. Chapter 55-68. There were many mysterious places in the West Sea continent, and the Dark Forest was one of them that was very difficult for outsiders to enter. Legend had it that there was an extremely powerful dark magician living here. Anyone who had bad intentions and entered the Dark Forest would not be able to come out alive. This mysterious and powerful dark magician had lived here for who knew how long. Originally, she only existed in legends, but in recent years, there had been more and more news about the dark magician. After some understanding, they found that this dark magician liked to take in students, and the students she took in were all heavily injured. However, they never saw these people again. Thus, they were certain that this dark magician was researching some terrifying curse and was using human blood as a sacrifice. Those people she took in the name of taking in students were very likely to have died from blood loss. Teacher, isn't it bad for you to let the students spread your evil name? Right now, everyone in the West Sea continent is filled with fear when they hear about the Dark Forest. Marge said worriedly, Teacher is clearly benevolent and noble. She took us in, healed us, and taught us magic. I don't think there's anyone else in this world who's as good as Teacher. The other students heard this and quickly nodded in agreement. Yes, if Teacher hadn't taken them in, they might have died from their injuries or died in the mouths of wild beasts. It was this great dark magician in front of them, who was also their teacher, who had saved their lives and even bestowed them with such powerful strength. It was just a rumor. Why did the people outside misunderstand their teacher? And why would their teacher, Margaret, allow them to spread such vicious words? But they didn't dare to disobey their teacher's orders. They could only do as she said. Margaret looked at the group of people behind her. They all looked at her with admiration, and she felt a headache coming on. These people were so stupid. They definitely weren't the male and female leads. She didn't know how many students she had picked up, but none of them were the male and female leads. This really annoyed her. You say I'm benevolent? Emerson said sincerely, Yes, teacher. You're the most benevolent person in the world. Margaret smiled evilly. You're all a bunch of idiots. Sorry, teacher. We're too stupid and can't meet your requirements. But teacher is really kind to accept people like us who have trash aptitudes. Nada continued with an apologetic expression. Emerson said, Teacher, we'll work hard. We definitely won't let you down. We all know that the reason why you're so harsh on us to practice magic is because you're afraid that we'll encounter the same kind of disbelief as before. That's right. If it weren't for teachers' strict teachings, we probably wouldn't have been able to survive in this dangerous forest, Ma Chi continued. The group of students were all talking at once, praising Margaret to the heavens. No matter how harsh she was, how she threw them into the forest to train, made them suffer, and even put them on the verge of death at any time. None of them were angry, and they would even show a grateful look. They would even automatically fill in the gaps in their minds as to why she was doing this. Margaret thought to herself that she was about to go crazy because of these idiotic students. She set up a barrier and threw the students back into the forest. I'll come and pick you up in a month. Teacher, we won't let you down. Teacher, we will definitely try our best to survive. Margaret, what a headache. Right now, she was going to the Leda Empire. Recently, the continent had been a bit unstable. She thought that the male and female leads had appeared out of nowhere, so she went around to take a look. In the end, she didn't find anything, so she could only come back and train these students. She had just received news from the Queen of the Leda Empire who was her distant cousin, that her daughter had been born. She hoped that she could go and give her blessings. Eleanor was the only family member she cared about. When she was attacked by enemies, it was Eleanor who had helped her. The other party's little princess, who was her niece, was born. Of course she would go and celebrate. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.